thousands of cars were built in the 20th century. Factories operated day and night. Steel was pressed, engines were assembled, badges were attached, and new models entered the world with confidence. Yet today, only a small fraction of those vehicles are remembered. Even fewer are celebrated. Some became icons. Others disappeared into scrapyards and footnotes. What separates an automotive legend from a forgotten machine? It is not just age, it is not just rarity, and it is not only performance. The difference between an icon and an ordinary classic is a layered combination of timing, design courage, engineering identity, cultural impact, and emotional memory. Every car is born into a specific historical moment. That moment matters more than most people realize. A vehicle introduced during economic optimism carries different symbolism than one launched during crisis. When a car aligns with the mood of its era, it absorbs that energy. It becomes more than transportation. It becomes representation. Design is the first filter of memory. Humans remember shapes before specifications. An iconic classic car usually has a silhouette recognizable even in shadow. Long hood proportions, distinctive grilles, dramatic curves, aggressive stance, or minimalist elegance. When a car's design language is bold enough to stand apart from its competitors, it creates instant visual identity. Average design fades into background traffic. Distinct design imprints itself. But design alone cannot create legend status. Engineering character must support appearance. Some cars were beautiful but uninspiring to drive. Others were mechanically strong but visually forgettable. Icons tend to balance both. The way the steering feels, the sound of the engine under load, the mechanical honesty of the gearbox. These sensory experiences build emotional memory. Emotion is central. Buyers and drivers do not form lifelong attachments to specification sheets. They remember how a machine made them feel: the vibration at idle, the smell of fuel, the resistance of an unassisted steering wheel at low speed. Analog feedback creates intimacy between human and machine. When that intimacy becomes widespread across thousands of owners, cultural memory begins to form. Motorsport history dramatically amplifies legacy. Racing validates engineering claims under pressure. When a road car shares DNA with a competition machine, it inherits credibility. Victories on track translate into prestige on the street. Even people who never watch racing understand the symbolism of winning. Success under extreme conditions becomes permanent proof of capability. Cultural exposure is another powerful accelerator. Cinema, television, music, and advertising can transform a car into a global symbol. A vehicle associated with a defining scene or era becomes embedded in collective memory. Long after production ends, the image remains. That exposure multiplies demand across generations. However, many well-engineered cars never achieved iconic status because they lacked narrative. Story matters. A dramatic development process, a revolutionary innovation, a bold risk taken by the manufacturer. Conflict and ambition create mythology. Mythology sustains long-term interest. Scarcity interacts with all these factors. Limited production numbers create urgency, but scarcity without significance does not build legend. When rarity combines with emotional impact and strong story, value accelerates over decades. When rarity exists without attachment, the market remains quiet. Timing within technological evolution also plays a role. Cars built at the end of an era often gain iconic recognition. The final carbureted performance model, before fuel injection, became mandatory. The last naturally aspirated engine before turbocharging, before automation scaled production. These transitional vehicles symbolize endings, and humans attach meaning to endings. Brand strength cannot be ignored. Manufacturers with consistent performance heritage build layered credibility. When a company repeatedly produces groundbreaking machines, each model strengthens the others. This cumulative effect creates a legacy ecosystem where icons reinforce one another. Community survival determines memory as well. Enthusiast groups, restoration networks, parts availability, and shared knowledge keep certain models alive. A car with strong community support remains visible at shows, events, and online platforms. Visibility sustains relevance. On the other hand, forgotten cars often share different characteristics: conservative design that followed trends instead of defining them, engineering that was competent but not distinctive, no motorsport involvement, limited cultural exposure, large production numbers combined with low emotional attachment. These vehicles served their purpose but left no lasting imprint. Economic accessibility influences icon formation too. Some cars became icons because they were attainable performance machines. They allowed ordinary buyers to access speed and style previously reserved for the elite. That democratization builds loyalty. When a generation associates freedom and youth with a specific model, nostalgia strengthens its long-term position. Nostalgia operates in predictable waves. As people age and gain purchasing power, they seek artifacts from formative years. The cars that symbolized ambition during adolescence become acquisition targets decades later. This generational cycle elevates specific models repeatedly. Engineering purity also matters. Classic icons often reflect focused design philosophy. They were built with a clear purpose rather than broad compromise. A lightweight sports car engineered primarily for handling. A grand tourer designed for high-speed comfort. When purpose is clear, identity is strong. When identity is strong, memory persists. Durability contributes indirectly. Cars that survive in reasonable numbers allow future enthusiasts to experience them physically. A machine that disappears entirely cannot maintain legend status outside of photographs. Survivability sustains engagement. Auction visibility reinforces icon status. High-profile sales attract media attention. Record prices generate headlines. Headlines attract new collectors. New collectors increase competition. Competition elevates value. Over time, the market validates cultural perception. There is also a psychological element tied to mechanical transparency. Older vehicles expose their function openly. Engines are visible. Components are accessible. The driver feels involved in operation. Modern vehicles often isolate the driver from mechanical processes through insulation and software. As transparency disappears, earlier machines gain emotional contrast. Icons also tend to represent freedom, road trips without digital tracking, open highways before congestion, simpler regulatory environments. Whether historically accurate or romanticized, these associations strengthen attachment. Yet it is important to understand that icon status is not instant. It develops slowly. A car may be underappreciated during its production years and later recognized for qualities ahead of its time. Market perception evolves. Manufacturers sometimes fail to recognize which models will become legends. Marketing budgets at launch do not guarantee long-term impact. Consumer behavior over decades ultimately determines status. Globalization has accelerated recognition patterns. Enthusiasts across continents now share discoveries instantly. A model overlooked in one country can gain appreciation through international exposure. Digital platforms preserve knowledge that might otherwise vanish. Despite all these factors, unpredictability remains. Some vehicles combine strong design, performance, and rarity, yet never achieve broad cultural penetration. Others with modest specifications become icons through unexpected media exposure or generational obsession. The market blends logic with emotion. In the end, a classic car becomes an icon when it captures more than utility. It must reflect a moment, embody a philosophy, and create emotional memory at scale. It must survive long enough to be rediscovered. It must inspire stories beyond its original brochure. Thousands of cars were built to move people from one place to another. Only a few were built, intentionally or accidentally, to move culture itself. Those are the machines remembered. Those are the machines restored, preserved, auctioned, and discussed decades later. An icon is not defined solely by horsepower or price. It is defined by lasting presence in collective imagination. When a vehicle continues to spark conversation across generations, it has crossed the line from product to symbol. And once a car becomes a symbol, time no longer erases it. Time strengthens it.